Oh, fired up to do a rare Friday night live stream. There's a reason why I couldn't just do a regular video today because everything is so fluid right now. Obviously, Mickey Joseph leaves to go to Nebraska. And what's funny, I did a regular video, like just, our normal 10 to 15-minute video yesterday. And I said, well, if Mickey Joseph wants to come back, I would think Brian Kelly would at least think about it, even though the Nebraska rumors are already out there, right? So this is what I'll say about our good friend Mickey Joseph, who, by the way, is one of the most accomplished assistant coaches in LSU history. And you can make the case that he is. If you just judge position coach by position coach and the players they coached, you can make a strong case that Mickey Joseph is the best LSU assistant of all time. Now, once again, that's not, the be-all, end-all when it comes to assistant coaches. But I do want to start tonight's live stream saying, whether or not you like Mickey Joseph, he is, without a doubt, one of the most unprecedented, successful assistant coaches in LSU history. Okay? So, look, obviously, there is that aspect of Mickey Joseph, and an even more important aspect to a lot of you were his recruiting chops in the New Orleans region. So we'll obviously touch on that tonight. There is the poll question for those that are watching live, and I've got to say, the Master Blaster is here. And it's interesting. One of our diehard viewers, my friend and yours, Van, tweeted out a photo earlier today saying that the great Stevie Wonder, his best song of all time, it's without a doubt Master Blaster. So we'll talk about Stevie Wonder a little bit later. But here's what's really interesting, okay? I look back at Mickey Joseph's tenure, and it's pretty ridiculous. Like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, Kayshon Boutte, just in the last few years alone, right? So we'll see how he actually does in Nebraska. I think it is cool that a coach can go back to coach at his alma mater. By the way, thanks to Roby, our first super chatter of the night. I also think this is really cool for Mickey Joseph, for him to start something new. Maybe he wants to see if he could coach outside of the state of Louisiana and coach for the school that he played for. So it's going to be interesting. What's up, Sib G, Michael, Lewis, Tony, Reed, Semper's in here somewhere. Good to see you. But look, as much as I like Mickey Joseph, the other side of me says, look, he is a wide receivers coach. And wide receivers coach, they do pack their bags often for new opportunities, right? Look, one of the best wide receiver coaches, I believe, in the country was actually at Arkansas last year, Justin Stepp, who coached Trey Quinn and Cortland Sutton and a lot of really good players. Well, he packed his bags and went to South Carolina before this last year, and Arkansas lost some receivers to the portal, and Arkansas's wide receivers, even outside of Traylon Burks, were actually pretty good. So I do think receiving coaches are a little bit more replaceable than, let's say, an offensive line coach, and especially an offensive or defensive coordinator. But at the same time, we do have to recognize Mickey Joseph and what he did at LSU. So let's take a look at the poll questions at this point. I'm going to turn this off right there. What's interesting about Mickey Joseph that I really like a lot is the LSU wide receivers always just played with that little extra bit of swagger that I know a lot of you guys love. So we'll see. Was Austin Thomas fired yesterday? I have no idea. I didn't know that was reported. So Antonio, it's pretty interesting. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if you have sources that I don't have. So yeah, I don't know how long we're going to go for tonight's live stream, but once again, there's just no point in me pre-recording a video when at any moment right now, an offensive or defensive coordinator should be hired. So we'll see. Maybe offensive coordinator aspirations. I know at Nebraska it said assistant head coach and passing game coordinator. Maybe he wanted a fresh start. Maybe he wanted to go somewhere where he knew he was wanted. Maybe LSU didn't want him anymore. Maybe they did want to start fresh. You never really know. And I've always said this about assistant coaches. What's up, Jesse? Good to see you. I've always said this about assistant coaches, right? There's Jared. I know you're missing the 75-degree weather. Oh, man, South Indiana. I love it. We have a lot of viewers in South Indiana, ironically. So, yeah. No, KMC, you are right on time. So Antonio says, not sure if it is 100% true yet, but I heard from someone that Kelly tried to demote him, but ended up firing him. I would be very shocked if that is what indeed happened. So we'll see. Obviously, it is a little concerning at this point that there's no assistant coaches that have been hired. Okay. And we're spending so much time here talking about a wide receivers coach who, by the way, was one of the best ever. I'll say that again. But at the same time, even though players spend the most time with their position coaches, they get to know their position coaches a whole lot better than their coordinators and even their head coach. The bottom line is the three coaches that really move the needle: head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator. I'm not saying assistant coaches don't do it. It's just not in level of game day importance as important as assistant coaches. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It is interesting, though. Okay, so I'll talk about the Austin Thomas thing really quickly. By the way, Tony, you were the super chatter, so if you want to pick another topic, go right on ahead. Let me touch on Austin Thomas really quickly. What's interesting about Austin Thomas is that this is not to Jesse's point here. Who's in line to get the job? Okay. The thing is, Jesse, about Austin Thomas is this is not a regular job. There are really no other general managers in college football. It is actually a pretty rare thing. And as many of you know, Brian Kelly is the antithesis of Ed Orgeron. He's used to just a regular coaching staff with no general manager. So we'll see. I would be really shocked, though, if Austin Thomas is not with LSU next year. Let's see. We need to get the OC hire done first. Yeah, I just think you just need to get whatever done first as far as who is actually going to get this job. And I don't know about OC. I've heard some rumors about, or just some suggestions, really, about potentially Garrett Riley, which I don't know how that would actually work out, especially if Lincoln was considered for the head coaching job. So for those that don't know, Garrett Riley is the offensive coordinator at SMU, and he is the brother of Lincoln Riley. Sip G says, I never liked Mickey. So tell me why you didn't like Mickey Joseph. Here's my thing, okay? And you guys know I say this all the time, okay? But we know so little about LSU's assistant coaches. We really do. Now we know a lot about their past stops, and we know a little bit about them personally. But on a week-to-week basis, they don't have to ask questions from the media. Uh, and at the same time, coaches differ in their levels of responsibility. So I think for me, this was a major criticism I would have had for Mickey Joseph. But the thing is I don't know what Mickey Joseph's responsibilities actually were. Okay. Uh, including the wide receiver rotation. So I'll say this, right? If you believe that, let me ask you guys this or excuse me, because this is not necessarily uh, a clear cut issue on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. If you think that the wide receiver rotation was good, give me a score of 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the best. 10, if you type 10 or 7, that means you think the wide receiver rotation was good. If you think it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you would say that the wide receiver rotation wasn't good. Okay. Josh says 5. Todd says 6. KMC says way too much rotation. DRC says, I don't like the running back or wide receiver rotation. Let's go to Roby here. We'll get into the recruiting in just a second. Roby, thank you for the super chat beforehand. How important is it to have an assistant coach that can really recruit the New Orleans area? Is it that important? Okay. So exactly, Reed. I don't know if that was Mickey Joseph's call or if that was DJ Mangus's call or if that's Jake Peetz's call. Once again, the media never asked about that, even though the wide. Let me say this. Based on how I watch other teams play, their wide receiver rotations aren't as exotic as LSU's wide receiver rotations. Okay. KMC says way too much rotation at wide receiver. Okay. So on our poll question up to this point, thoughts on Mickey Joseph departing to Nebraska? Some of you say huge. The LSU staff is in trouble. Some of you say kind of big, but LSU will be fine. That's winning the poll at 69%. Nice. No loss. LSU is better without him, 18%. So this is here with Alex, okay? I'll say this. I'm always very forthright with things that I feel I know a decent amount about and things that I don't know a whole lot about. I don't know too much about New Orleans high school football as far as this is concerned, but I have heard this. Joseph, thank you for the Venmo. I deeply appreciate that. So this is what's very interesting. I think Campbell makes a very good point right here really quickly, and Campbell always makes some really good points. I think LSU being in the bowl game is also kind of strange too. If you fire an offensive coordinator right now, who's going to call plays in the bowl game? That's also something else that could get a little crazy. And I also do think I've also grown on the idea that LSU should let Coach Kelly be on the sidelines for the bowl game, as in actually having a headset on. I think that would be smart. Joseph, once again, thank you for the Venmo, one of the newer viewers on the channel. Thank you for your LSU football insights. So, Joseph, if you want to comment on Venmo and you want to ask a question, or if you want to type in the comment section, let me know. Thank you guys so much. Joseph, I'm not sure if you're a newer viewer. I don't think I've ever gotten a Venmo from you, but I really appreciate that. And I want to welcome everybody that is new to the channel. Okay. So round of applause to all our new viewers. So yeah, I'm pretty fired up. So yeah, I think that's also something that's a little strange as far as Coach Kelly is concerned. And I'm going to say one strong opinion, and I'm going to save this for a video during the off season when the news is a little bit slower. So I've been discussing with a few members of the national media that I know, a few members that actually do coach and do a lot of recruiting. I do think, and I understand that this won't sit well with a lot of you, because when I brought this up before, it's driven a lot of people wild. I do think we need to get rid of the early signing period. I really do. Because if we got rid of the early signing period, Coach Kelly would probably be able to finish out his tenure with Notre Dame, right? And it would prevent coaches leaving their teams. Longtime viewer, oh yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, Joseph. I appreciate it, man. But I do feel the early signing period is ruining a lot of things in college football. I just do. I just feel push everything back to February. That allows recruits to see all the coaching changes. You don't pull a Texas. What Texas pulled last year was fair. Keeping Tom Herman past the early signing period and then just firing him, and now these kids are playing for a coach they probably didn't want to play for. It's strange. Roby, to finish up on that question, I don't know. Once again, I'm not well versed enough to say if New Orleans coaches are going to just badmouth LSU and say, don't go to LSU anymore. And there's no telling if Mickey Joseph is telling all those New Orleans coaches, screw LSU, don't send your kid there. There's no telling what kind of negative recruiting Mickey Joseph may or may not do, right? There are rumors that may have happened already. And you always run that risk whenever you fire a coach or a coach takes another job. Take Billy Napier, for instance, who one of the best that people respect in the state of Louisiana. You always do worry about those relationships. But at the same time, I do think we are in an age where recruits are way smarter than what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago, simply because they have more information, right? So I don't think having total autonomy over an entire city is as big of a deal as it once was, right? So we'll see. Gavino says, I don't think Mickey Joseph was a big loss. He didn't really recruit any high-rated out-of-state wide receiver. He just got Louisiana kids like he was supposed to. I agree with that, but at the same time, and Gavin, we did a really deep dive on this offseason. LSU in the past decade has not had an out-of-state wide receiver finish in the top 5 in receptions on the team, which is a pretty ridiculous stat when you really think about it. And that shows you how great the Louisiana wide receivers were. So since you got to go back to 2010, Terrence Tolliver, who was a 5-star out of Texas, unbelievable player, very underrated. He was the last LSU wide receiver to catch over 30 passes. Now think about that, 30. That's not an unbelievable number, right? So part of the issue with recruiting out-of-state wide receivers is that there's a lot of in-state wide receivers who are so good and go ball out elsewhere anyway, right? So we'll see. Now, once again, I want this to be clear. One viewer, okay? One viewer. I don't want to do that. Oh, crap. This did this last time. My goodness gracious. I have no idea how to get out of this. Great. How do I? Anyway, I can't really see the comments. Now my face is really zoomed up on my screen. What's this about Austin Thomas firing? I don't see that anywhere. Someone's been hitting the sauce. I haven't seen that anywhere either. So one viewer has said that Austin Thomas has been let go, which, once again, I really doubt that happened. I really do. Okay, let me see if this works. Okay. So my face is going to be really zoomed in the screen. It's not going to screw up your view of the channel. At least I don't think it does. It's just StreamYard's getting a little wild. Normal guy says, "Can I be a coach?" So yeah, part of the thing is, while Mickey Joseph is unbelievably talented, at the same time, he's got, I mean, Louisiana wide receivers are just legendary. And it's not just during his tenure. I mean, that was previous Mickey Joseph as well. So we'll see. No, you don't need out-of-state wide receivers. We can keep leaning on in-state guys. It's true. Yeah, Dion was out-of-state Mississippi. Would you necessarily consider him an out-of-state target? Yeah, because he was out of state, but he was also 2 hours away from Baton Rouge. It's still an out-of-state target. A little bit different. Let's see here. Let's get a few more comments in here. Rob, it's all good, man. You're right on time. Welcome. Let's see. BK has been hiring coordinators for 30 years. Hey, there's oil field trash. You hadn't been around in a while. Good to see you, man. So obviously he knows what he's doing, and he didn't have Mickey Joseph working for him that whole time. Yeah, it's interesting. So you look at Brian Kelly's history with hiring coordinators. It's been pretty good. You know, he hired Mike Elko for that 1 year. So yeah, it's very interesting. Let's see. According to 247 Sports, Mickey Joseph was recruiting Jacoby Mathews. So there you go. Good to see you again, oil field trash. Once again, I'm getting a lot of comments. It's weird because, once again, my actual software zoomed in without telling me. So it's kind of hard for me to even see anything right now. Loving all the streams. Well, we love you, Michael. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back. Let's see. So far, the poll is still around 69%. We're going to be okay without Mickey Josephs. Boone was pretty good out-of-state wide receiver. He played with Landry and OBJ in 2013. Yeah, so good point, Roby. Kadron Boone's numbers are so interesting. So in 2012, he had 26 catches. Then in 2013, Les Miles, instead of developing a slot receiver, didn't develop a slot receiver. So Boone had a really good 2012. But then in 2013, Odell and Jarvis's numbers stayed the same, but Boone only had 7 catches. So why was he not targeted more? It's pretty crazy. Let's see. Angelo, nothing happened other than Mickey Joseph leaving to go to Nebraska. I agree with this to a certain degree. So Mickey Joseph is a wide receiver coach. Jacoby Mathews is a big-time recruit. Jared, thank you for the super chat. Simp. Okay. Let's see here. Let me see if I do this, if that makes it any better. No, I don't want that. Oh, there we go. That fixed the issue. Good. Huh? 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 Good little dog here, fake vet. Finally. What is fake vet? I'm trying to get to that. Let me see. Getting a lot of comments. We're over 100 viewers. Cool stuff on just an impromptu Friday night live stream. We'll do another one tomorrow night. So I will be traveling tomorrow. So I'm going to see my alma mater play in a state championship game tomorrow. I'm pretty excited. Let's go, Wildcats. Let's go. Let's go. So our live stream will be a little bit later in the evening, probably around 9. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching the SEC championship game on my phone. Hopefully, traveling back after a state championship victory. So we'll see. Hey, Michael, has Brian Kelly finally spoken to Corey Raymond and Kevin Falk yet? I don't think my name's Michael. But I'll go by Michael. That's fine. I don't know. I don't know. There's already rumors out there, and Corey Raymond, and along with all the other staffers, is out recruiting. I know he went after and visited a Miami DB. I think his name is Chris Gaines, not Chris Gaines. That's he could be Chris Gaines. That could be his name. Chris Graves. I think that's his name. Chris Gaines is that's Garth, right? So yeah. I'll go by Michael for a $100 super chat. If you guys want me to rename myself tonight to Michael, I'll happily do that. Your mom said, "What's up?" I'll tell your mom. Sup? Can she call plays? Oh, so fake vet is a some drama. This is going to be the big thing. Who is going to recruit New Orleans? Here's what I'll say about this, right? So, look, you guys remember when Frank Wilson left, right? And the same thing was said about Frank Wilson as it's being said right now about Mickey Joseph. Frank Wilson, once again, one of the best recruiters ever at LSU. I think he won Recruiter of the Year while he was here. And LSU ended up being just fine, right? Now, it'll come down to, and welcome, Chillmonger, it'll come down to, well, what is it? What is it that a kid actually wants, right? And I'll also say this about recruiting New Orleans, okay? A lot of high schools are always going to get or are going to feel jilted because, as many of you know, New Orleans is unbelievably fertile. And we've talked about New Orleans putting out big time players elsewhere. Okay. A lot of players from the 504 that are 3 stars go elsewhere and become superstars. Okay. Now, a few of you that live in the 504 were telling me before the season even began about Montrell Johnson. They're like, Carter, this kid can play. He can really play. All right. And he could play. He wasn't even a top 900 ranked recruit. So there you go. Michael. Okay, so we got an actual Michael here. The OC from Wake Forest is very interesting. Look at the last 4 years up. Also, Leonard from Wisconsin for DC would be a home run hire. Okay. So let's talk about these two names. Okay, let's start with Jim Leonhard. Okay. I think Jim Leonhard's a really good defensive coordinator. I'll also say this, it would be interesting. I think his fit with Brian Kelly would be better than a fit with Ed Orgeron, because Ed Orgeron's offenses like to play tempo. Brian Kelly is not a tempo coach. It's not his MO. Now, he can play with tempo and he's open to it, but Jim Leonhard would be a far better fit with what Brian Kelly potentially wants to do, which is install better offensive line play a little bit more smash mouth football. If that's the case, Jim Leonhard is a home run hire. Now, I cannot say this enough about Jim Leonhard. Okay. It's kind of the same thing with Mickey Joseph. There's something to be said about coaching for your alma mater, right? And Jim Leonhard is currently doing that right now as a defensive coordinator. I just don't see the rationale for him leaving if it's not for a head coaching job or an NFL job, unless it is a big time opening. And LSU is a big time opening. I just don't think Jim Leonhard wants to leave there. And Jim Leonhard was a great player in the NFL. So I think Jim Leonhard's going to get an NFL opportunity. The offensive coordinator from Wake Forest, I don't know his name, but I do know Dave Clawson, and I do know a decent amount about the claw fence, okay? Here's the thing about the claw fence, okay? Rod, thank you for the super chat. We trusted the athletic director. Now let's trust the coach to fill the coordinators and recruit. I am in. So here's the thing about the claw fence, okay? It's not for everybody, all right? So the way you guys viewed, say someone like, I'm going to bring his name up. You guys always get in a fight in the comment section whenever I bring this name up. But say someone like Matt Canada, who runs a different type of offense. I'm telling you, I don't think the claw fence is going to gain a lot of fans in Baton Rouge, okay? It's very unique. It is probably the most unique offense we have in college football right now, where the RPO action involves the running back walking towards the line of scrimmage. It just doesn't look right. I think it'll be received the same way that Matt Canada's offense was received. So we'll see. Scott, thank you for your super chat. You get to pick the next topic. So let me focus on Rob's comment here. Now let's trust the coach to fill the coordinators and recruit. I am in. So yeah, look, there's been a lot of head coaching changes in the sport, and we're seeing a lot of coordinators move. This is another reason why I think we need to get rid of the early signing period, because I actually do have a soft spot for a lot of these coordinators. It's brutal to recruit a kid for months at a time just for you to pack your bags right before the early signing period, reestablish relationships with recruits. It just doesn't make any sense. It's all being crammed in right now. So we'll see. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly how these assistants are going to get filled out, and it could be a scenario where Brian Kelly. I was doing some deep dives on and some research on Brian Kelly. What's very interesting is a lot of his assistant coaches will go hard in the paint for this guy. They love Brian Kelly. But at the same time, I read a pretty interesting piece in The Athletic, right? And it was 105 plus one facts about Brian Kelly. I think it was Matt Fortuna who wrote it. Really good writer. And he wrote something very interesting, that he said that in his mind that Kelly views assistant coaches and position coaches more as contractors. I know that doesn't sound right, but it's partially true. A lot of assistant coaches pack their bags and go, right? They're in for a year and then they're out. They're in for a year and they're out. Go look at most coaching staffs. It's part of the reason why on our videos you'll see me go up and down on their resume, all the stops. And part of the reason why I do that is just to really hammer home that these coaches make a crap ton of stops. It's part of the reason why I wasn't really huge on Tommy Rees being the LSU offensive coordinator, because there was some nepotism involved with him actually being the offensive coordinator to begin with. The head coach who he played under gave him the keys to the Notre Dame offense, right? It wasn't necessarily, as much of a meritocracy as it was, say, Joe Brady earning his opportunity. So it's interesting, right? I do like Brian Kelly's history of hiring coordinators and, more importantly, firing coordinators. One thing I saw very interesting is how many friends, and I mean close friends, guys that were in the early stages of Brian Kelly, how many of those he actually fired. And I understand that doesn't sound like it's a good thing, but it actually is a really good thing that a guy is able to separate his bias from people that he loves, people that probably stood in his wedding, and he would fire them, right? We've seen that be the downfall of so many coaches, including one coach that you guys know very well. So we'll see. Scott, thank you for the super chat. And Scott says, I'm afraid Mickey Joseph will be fired with Frost next year. It's true. I think Scott Frost is going to be there for the long haul, right? So there was a weird stat this year that Nebraska was 3-9, but their score differential was 0, which is wild. They beat, or their record in the Big 12 was like 1-8 or something like that, and their score differential was 0 because they beat one team by 49. And they had a bunch of their other 8 losses were all close losses. I think Scott Frost is going to bounce back next year. Oklahoma's in a rebuilding year next year, or in a new transition next year. Texas is still trash. I don't know about the Big 12. What's Baylor going to look like next year when Jeff Grimes gets a head coaching job? I don't know. That was one of my big concerns about Dave Aranda, right? A big reason why Dave Aranda's had this amazing year, and I think part of the reason why Scott Woodward didn't hire Dave Aranda is because, well, Jeff Grimes is one of the best assistant coaches I've ever seen, period. He's ridiculous. And I know there's a lot of you in this chat that are huge Jeff Grimes fans. You saw what happened to our offensive lines after he left. They weren't as good. The dude's a monster. So, yeah, we'll see. I would actually be very happy with Jeff Grimes as the LSU offensive coordinator. That won't happen. I think Jeff Grimes also wants to be a head coach himself. Doesn't make any sense to make all the moves he's made at offensive coordinator and not try to parlay that into a head coaching opportunity somewhere. But as far as Mickey Joseph is concerned, Scott, that's part of the risk. And, I was reading an interview earlier today that Mickey Joseph's wife gave with Lon Sullivan. And I was reading, and she said that Coach Kelly hadn't really contacted them about the job, and they wanted to pack their bags and go to Nebraska. If I were Mickey Joseph, I probably would have made the same move as well, right? What else is he going to accomplish at LSU that he hasn't accomplished already? He's already won a national championship. He's already got the most ridiculous LSU player resume ever. Go to Nebraska. You're going to have more power at that job. Maybe, just maybe, going to Nebraska there might have been a wink deal with the athletic director that said, look, Mickey, if Scott sucks and we fire him mid-season, you're going to be the guy. That could be part of it. I wouldn't be shocked if that wasn't part of it. So if I were Mickey Joseph with a coach and a team in Nebraska that's wanted you for quite some time, and there's probably fans of Mickey Joseph's that are still fans of the program now, probably would have done the same thing. So even if he gets fired next year with Scott Frost, who cares, right? He made a move that, was probably the best for him. Okay, so the two guys you mentioned earlier, Simper, let me know. Getting a lot of comments in. I was answering Rob's super chat. Let's see. We won't win a natty next season. What kind of fan are you, Oilfield? No, I agree with that. It's going to be tough, but it's not out of the question. It honestly isn't. I think Bama's going to be a pretty heavy favorite next year with Bryce returning. Let's see. Exactly, complex. I agree with you, Carter, about Mickey having the deal in place with the AD to take over midseason. I can easily see that. I really can. And look, I also think, and this also could be a very plausible scenario as well, Mickey Joseph probably felt some type of way of not being named the interim coach at LSU. It is pretty interesting that the move went to Brad Davis instead of Mickey Joseph, instead of Corey Raymond. It's very interesting. So here we go. What's up, Danielle? Good to see you. I actually like this idea here, playing devil's advocate here, but sometimes it's good to clean house to establish a true new program and culture. So I don't like people getting fired, right? I don't want anyone to lose their job just basically anywhere, right? I've been there before, lost jobs. It sucks, right? But I'll say this at the same time. It might be good for a little tabula rasa, a little bit of a clean slate, right? There's a lot of people at LSU that have been there a long time. And there might be some people that do want a fresh start, right? And I'm not saying that because you've been somewhere a long time should disqualify you to continue your position. It's not my point at all. What I would say, though, is as far as innovation is concerned, as far as our team is concerned, it felt at times we were a little unimaginative, right? It is something to be said that Jack Marucci, for instance, someone that I'm really high on, right? I met Cal Ripken Jr. a long time ago, and we were chatting, and I brought up LSU, and he was talking about Jack Marucci. This was over a decade ago, right? This guy's a legend. He is as sharp as they come. And a real reason, Jack Marucci is a real deal, is this guy has plenty of other successful businesses and ideas that he started, right? Well, he was one of the big reasons, according to Ed Orgeron, that we started running counter, the play that worked really well versus Florida. So Jack Marucci is being kept. He is someone that you want to keep around. Sports medicine, innovator, success outside of football, just a sharp guy all around. Now, I don't know Jack. I've never met him before, but I have a lot of respect for someone that, when you meet one of these sports icons, you chat with them, and it wasn't a long period of time. It was when I was up in DC at XM. It's strange that you bring up LSU and he was like Jack Marucci. He's like, dude, this Jack Marucci guy's real deal. So It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. I don't know, Danielle, if any one person needs to be fired, but I do think in this transition time that LSU needs to reevaluate everything. So it's interesting. And it's not just coaches, right? I mean, I think LSU is fine, but you know, strange. See, a lot of people are talking. I don't know why Spencer Rattler is a guy we're chatting the most about. Let's see. Watching me on the big TV for the first time, pretty wild. It is a little bit different. Uh, to watch on the TV because you can see the chat, you just can't like type something. It's always kind of weird. I actually do like to watch my YouTube live streams on the TV as well. On the TV as well. Chris, what's good? I'm trying to welcome everyone um, into the chat. Okay, Natal, it's very unfair that Durante Jones needs to leave LSU. Okay, so let me address something here really quickly. Okay, the coaching profession is unfair. It's very unfair, right? While football itself is a meritocracy, either win or you lose, the best will win. It oftentimes isn't at the same time as far as coaching positions, administrations, playing time, even. Uh, what's interesting is I agree with you. I do think Durante needs to have another opportunity, right? But at the same time, once again, I go back to the coach resume thing. You'll see in my videos. I show the coaches' resumes a lot, right? And you look on there and you see all the different stops coaches make, right? It's crazy. Ah. So Captain says Mickey Joseph moved the needle. Brian Thomas Jr. wasn't coming to LSU. BTJ was going to Ohio State. Very interesting. I thought BTJ was between LSU and Texas A&M, but that's wild. I don't think you can bring in Quinn Ewers and that make Walker Howard happy. I could see Spencer Rattler would be fine, but I don't think Walker Howard would be happy with Quinn Ewers because they're in the same class. Even though Quinn reclassified, if you are to bring in Quinn Ewers, it would probably be smart to do that after the early signing period. Now that would be a little unfair to Walker, but once again, got to do what's best for the program. I don't think LSU is going to be going after any transfer portal quarterbacks before the early signing period because you don't want to do anything to deter Walker Howard from not signing with you. Right? I just hope that someone tells BK how important it is to have someone to recruit New Orleans that already has relationships with the coaches there. All right, so we'll get back into Mickey Joseph in a second. Obviously, you guys want to talk Spencer Rattler. You know, one thing we haven't talked about Jacoby Mathews yet, and his name is in the title. I wanted to talk a little bit about Jacoby and these Texas A&M rumors. Okay, so yeah, let me put up a poll question. I'm gonna in this poll. And we'll get a new poll question up. 186 on a Friday night impromptu. Guys, thank you guys so much. I don't think you should get mad at Spencer Rattler for losing to a quarterback who was the number one rated quarterback coming out. Losing to Caleb Williams is nothing to, be sad about, right? Or be disappointed in. Caleb Williams is the real deal. Okay, Eric, while I put the poll question up, I promise I'm going to get to your question. I do want to touch on this from Chris. Thank you for the super chat here, Chris. It's out of proportion. Okay. I'll say this. Brian Kelly shouldn't fake a country accent. But for those that watched the full, and I want to talk more about Spencer Rattler than this crazy topic, because every single person on Twitter were making the exact same jokes. Okay. And they were funny. All right. And it is kind of embarrassing if it is indeed Brian Kelly faking a country accent. Let me put this right here. This actually, here's what I'm going to do for you, Killmonger, because you've been with me for a while. Let me do this. There you go. I love that. That's for you, Killmonger. You're the first ever person to be mentioned in a poll. You see that, Killmonger? Huh? I said Killmonger, Chillmonger. I don't know why I kept saying Killmonger. Chillmonger. There you go. Why is Brian Kelly trying to sound country at the half of the basketball game? So I'm sorry about that, Chillmonger. I messed up your name. Said Killmonger, obviously, for the great Michael B. Jordan. Shout out. He's actually Haley's favorite actor. She said, Carter, if it was between you and Michael B. Jordan, I'm leaving you. And I was like, really, babe? Really? For Creed? All good. So let me say this. How many of you think, type Y for yes, type N for no? Okay. So while you guys vote in the poll, I'm going to I'm going to touch on this just really briefly. Okay, because it is a funny comment. Type Y for yes, type N for no. How many of you believe Brian Kelly was faking a Southern accent? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Schumacher said yes. Danny Girl said no. No. Cumby, thanks for all the shout outs on Twitter, man. I appreciate it. No. Okay. Rob, appreciate the super chat. We'll get back into Spencer Rattler in just a second. Okay. Because Chillmonger, I just love that name. Chillmonger. So, this is how I feel about it. Okay. At first, I thought that Brian Kelly just got nervous, right? But Brian Kelly does have a history in politics. Okay. Politicians do this all the time. And honestly, college football coaches do this to pander, right? So the first thing is, I don't think it matters. I really don't. I just don't. I've had a few Notre Dame insiders reach out to me and say, look, Carter, Brian Kelly's going to get eat up in the South. He's going to automatically lose trust with the South and Louisiana for faking a Southern accent. I don't first off think 100% he was faking it, right? But at the same time, it's admirable to pull out the first ever Southern accent, because I didn't hear any fake Southern drawl during his press conference. But then again, a press conference is just more formal. in the middle of a basketball game of an undefeated team, underneath in the rafters, Simone Gustis, Bob Pettit, Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, the PMAC, it's not Rupp, it's not Bud Walton, but it's still a cool place to be, right? And everyone's worshiping you. You want to pander. There might be a little bit in you that makes you want to pander, code switch, whatever you want to, put out there. Okay. Do I think it matters? No. But at the same time, it is interesting. Here's what I think happened. Okay. I think he got caught up in the moment. This was the first time he's probably been around that many Southern people. I also think he was nervous. It is different to be on the microphone. And I'll say this as someone with experience. So I'm a PA announcer for some college basketball teams. Okay. Now, I don't do it in a major arena, but it is a little bit different being on the PA mic. When you're in an arena, you hear yourself, you just hear different things, right? And after the crazy day that Brian Kelly had, to do that, it was probably a little jilting. So I do think there might have been just a little bit of a Southern drawl thrown in there. Did I find it offensive as a Southerner? Not really, because I don't consider myself someone that has a major Southern drawl. Now, when I moved to DC at first, a lot of people thought I did. I don't know, but and we had that one viewer during our last live chat saying I still haven't mastered the English language, which still is kind of a crazy comment. But still, I think it's just one of those things where the national media is going to poke fun at Brian Kelly, and you just kind of can't get too mad about it. And I haven't won all my games yet. He is a Boston guy. I love this avatar too. Southern accents are easy to pick up by accident. Huh? 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 Uh, so yeah, thank you, Chris, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Somebody wants to talk about Harold Perkins. I'm always down to talk some Harold Perkins. Let's see. He could speak pig Latin. LJ with the comment of the night. I would rather breed with a one-eye rapid raccoon than LJ. I appreciate your support, man, and your hilarity. So yeah. I don't even remember the question, but I'll say no. I love it. Love the kiddo too. Huh? 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 Uh, a lot of newbies, man. I love all our new viewers. Okay. Danielle says, "Who cares? Louisianans aren't Southern anyway. We have a Cajun accent. We don't have that drawl." Let's see. So yeah, let's check on the Spencer Rattler poll for Chillmonger. Huh? Should LSU pursue Spencer Rattler? Chillmonger says yes. A lot of you say no. Interesting. Okay, so I see a few of you talking about drama on another channel, which is fine, right? But I don't think a lot of people want to chat about something that happened on some other channel, right? So once again, yeah, that's not a disrespect to people talking about it, but it's some of our smartest viewers, spending their time uh, dwelling on something that happened on another channel. So guess what? You're here on PHL, baby. I don't get into so yeah, I don't want you guys, I don't think you guys want to spend a Friday night talking about another show. So Brian wants Quinn Ewers. Brian, I have to say this, your dear friend Tomcat sent me a very generous Cash App earlier today. And Brian, I appreciate you. Brian is also a member of the PHL T-shirt club. Good stuff. So type Y for yes, type N for no on Quinn Ewers. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. If you guys think my show is great, that's good. And once again, that's nothing against any other show, right? I don't want you guys don't get up in the drama or anything that happens. And if I make a mistake, I'll own up to it, right? So yeah, type Y for yes, type N for no. Mary Rose, good to see you from Natchez, Mississippi. I remember old Mary Rose. Thank you so much, Mary Rose. Good to have you back. Smiley, welcome to the channel. Y'all send this guy money. I don't know why they do, Smiley. I'm just garbage. Rattler is better than anything we have on the roster. Interesting. I would probably agree with that. I would probably say Rattler is a better quarterback than Max. Not by much, though. I mean, Spencer, I've never really quite understood the hype. So, yeah, welcome to the channel, Smiley. Leonard! What's up, man? For those that don't know, Leonard, I always bring this up. Leonard has been working hard to get electricity back in Louisiana. As many of you know, we're all still recovering from this hurricane. My family that's in South Louisiana, really appreciate your hard work on that, Leonard. And we all appreciate your hard work on that, to all the electricians of PHL. Rattler was hated by his own teammates. Yeah, that high school clip did him no favors. Ayo, I appreciate you, man. Ayo and Opelousas. Leonard's been busy. Mary Rose, I've been missing your comments, Mary Rose. You know what's funny? I want to get back to Natchez and do another show, man. That was the funnest. Natchez people. Oh my god, that was just so much fun. It really was. PHLOG for sure. Good to have you back. King Mo, what's up, man? Good to see you again. So Dylan Gabriel's going to go to Ole Miss, right? So I learned this today. I believe I learned this on the J Boys Twitter account, and he pointed out that Dylan Gabriel was his offensive coordinator was Jeff Lebby. his first year at USF, if I'm citing that correctly. So Dylan Gabriel is likely to go to Ole Miss, and I've got to say this once again. Dylan Gabriel is definitely a really good quarterback, right? But I think this speaks more to Lane Kiffin. And a big reason why I wanted Lane Kiffin potentially as the next head coach, once again, I'm fine with Brian Kelly. But part of the reason why I liked Lane Kiffin so much is quarterbacks really want to play in a system, right? I cannot say this enough. Matt Corral is about to be drafted really high, despite having average ADOT. Most of Matt Corral's success this year has been him running. So it's very interesting. Quarterbacks want to play in a system that's going to get them paid, and Lane Kiffin's going to get a lot of quarterbacks paid. I would stay away from Matt Corral in this next draft too. I really would. Guess I was too busy watching LSU in 2007, but I YouTube Cincinnati 2007, and Kelly had a high-power offense. The more I look at his offense, the more I like the coaching higher. So I spoke to a few Notre Dame insiders as far as his offense. And once again, Roby, thank you for your generosity, man. I really appreciate it. What's very interesting about Kelly is Brian Kelly in the early 2010s was viewed as an innovator. And before that, Jimbo Fisher was viewed as an offensive innovator, right? A lot of guys are viewed as offensive innovators. But as time passes on, a big criticism of both Jimbo and Brian Kelly, and even Chip Kelly to a certain degree, is that their offenses have become a little outdated, okay? So I'll say this once and I'll say it again, right? I do really, really, really like Brian Kelly. I do think he has a tendency to play to his opponent. And this is something that, I spoke to a Notre Dame insider. He also coached Brian. His last name slips my mind, but I spoke to him for about an hour yesterday. And he said that the one thing Brian Kelly does a really good job of is he never loses to teams that he's better than. And a big reason why is that Brian Kelly is very anti-turnover, right? And a lot of coaches say they're anti-turnover. And if you do want to give Ed Orgeron credit for something, is that, our offenses have been really good at that. But at the same time, Brian Kelly's offense can be a little too limited, right? So we'll see. I haven't really dove too deep schematically into what Brian Kelly's going to do. But at the same time, I do like some of the coaching decisions that Kelly made. I think Chip Long needed to be fired, and he did. Tommy Rees came in, and I'm not on fire about Tommy Rees. I was actually kind of excited he didn't come to LSU, but at the same time, Tommy Rees did make Notre Dame's offense more explosive. I do think Notre Dame's offense, even though they've won double-digit wins in the past 5 years, I do feel the few times that I watched them, the few times that I've studied them over the past couple of days, I do feel, Roby and everyone in the chat right now, I do feel Brian Kelly left some yards and some points on the field. Okay? So we'll see. But yeah, I do like Kelly's outlook. And I'll also say this, okay? This is really, really, really important, okay? The one thing I kept asking Notre Dame insiders and people that I trust in the coaching profession, how good is Brian Kelly between the headset, okay? So as many of you know, I was very critical, even before the season began, and even somewhat before the season before began. Ed Orgeron's not always the best between the headset, right? not necessarily calling plays, but making decisions on fourth down, when to call timeouts, the game strategies, our lack of preparation for the third quarter, our lack of a macro and a micro game plan for every game, the lack of defensive innovation, the lack of doing the same things over and over and still getting destroyed with it. Brian Kelly's the opposite. He is really good in between the headset. He's really good at staying ahead of the chains. He's also very, very, very good at managing a game plan, managing a roster, managing a coaching staff. Okay. Brian Kelly's never lost to an unranked team based on what one Notre Dame insider told me yesterday is that Brian Kelly's just really, really good at managing a game. Okay. Huge change from what we've had to deal with the last 2 years. And I understand. Some of you say I piled on Ed Orgeron too hard. Well, none of my criticism about Ed Orgeron ever had anything to do with him personally. It's just our in-game decision-making, our in-game management, the rhythm of our games was just chaos, right? Timeouts when there didn't need to be timeouts. Lost leads when those didn't need to happen. Conservatism for no reason at all. So it's interesting. LSU's been playing to their opponent since I've been born. Joe Brady was responsible for chasing Jefferson. Wide receiver sucked before him and sucked after. That's not true. Boucher and Bech were already made before getting to LSU. Yeah, once again, how much credit, and welcome, Jaheim, how much credit do you give Mickey Joseph for the development of the wide receivers? It's just hard to say, right? Jared, I read your comment before the boiled crabs, and I was like, all right, go for it, Jared. But I could go for some crabs too. See, I'm getting a lot of comments here over 187. Let me read as many of these as I can. Rattler calls him crayfish. Please note Adrian Martinez, but I'll take Dylan Gabriel. Captain Kenneth, honestly, is Walker Howard really as good as people say? I know that he's ranked number 1, but lots of people were ranked high. My cousin was ranked 5th in the nation, and he didn't really shine that hard. So, look, I'll touch on recruiting rankings just for a little bit here. Okay. Recruiting rankings, for the most part, are accurate. Now, some are just way off, right? But more often than not, they're accurate. Now, is Walker Howard really as good as people say? Okay. There's pros and cons of Walker Howard's game. The first thing is, obviously, the first thing is his health. He had a lot of injuries this year. First real year he's been injured. The second thing is, he hasn't played a lot of games compared to other quarterbacks and just quarterback recruits in general. He's only been a 2-year starter because, he sat behind a really good quarterback before he became the full-time starter as a junior. With that said, he's a real deal. I've just got to be honest. He's a real deal. Dual threat capabilities, check. High football IQ, check. Accuracy, check. Back shoulder throws, check. How does he perform in big moments? He's ridiculously clutch. State championship game last year. The Neville comeback earlier this year was one of the more incredible things I've seen a high school quarterback do this year. And that, once again, this year was big for Walker Howard because this was his first year as a starter without Jack Bech. He looked just as good, if not better. Okay. Not because Jack Bech was gone, but because, he just got better. Okay. And not only did he lose Jack Bech, he also lost Carter Arsenault, who's a walk-on receiver at LSU. So he lost his two best targets. And I think another went to go play basketball at UL. And his name was, ironically, Carter. So yeah, he lost some really good players. Okay. But he's really good. Okay. Football genetics. Dad played football at LSU. Now, is he year one good? No quarterback is year one good. I would avoid playing true freshman quarterbacks at pretty much all costs. Outside of this year, where Max Johnson really began to stunk, we didn't have Miles Brennan, so we really did need to go to Garrett Nussmeier because Max was falling off a cliff. Now, luckily, he turned it around these last two games, or most notably the A&M game. But, Walker Howard is still going to be a year two project, and I wouldn't mind LSU getting a big name portal quarterback. Look, I understand Spencer Rattler doesn't have the biggest fan base, but then again, getting benched like this was the first time he's ever had to deal with adversity in his life. Getting benched for someone that was clearly better than him, maybe it did humble him. In high school, we're all immature and can be a little pain in the you-know-what. So, yeah, I'm fine with that motion. I do think Max Johnson will stay. As far as Garrett Nussmeier is concerned, I don't know. I don't know what Garrett Nussmeier is going to do. Appreciate it. This is not a small token of gratitude. This is a wonderful token of gratitude. No donation is too small. I appreciate you. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! We're not signing off just yet. Let's see. Time will tell. Crayfish. Oh, the intro. Let's go. Power Hour LSU. Boom! Rattler thinks the real Death Valley is in South Carolina. Welcome to the channel, Olton. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to Ole Miss. Jacoby Mathews news. I hope he picks LSU. I know there's a lot of crystal balls going to Texas A&M right now. But yeah, I love Jacoby Mathews. I really do. It's pretty amazing what he's done at quarterback at Ponchatoula. So yeah, I'm just hoping. All right, Oldfield, we'll see you, man. Let's see. Appreciate it. Mark, thank you for the super chat, man. And thank you for the tags on Twitter. I appreciate it. We know Kelly likes Howard, had him on a visit, but between Max Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier, which one better fits what Kelly wants to do? Good question, Mark. So let's talk about a concept here. The first thing is obviously it's going to come down to who the offensive coordinator is going to be. But the second thing here, Mark, is Garrett Nussmeier, obviously in the game versus Arkansas, committed some bad turnovers. I saw what he was trying to do on his first interception, versus Arkansas. He was trying to look off a safety and it didn't work. And then his second interception, I hated the play call. I hated the way that play was designed. It was a fade route to Devonta Lee. Jack Bech was open over the middle. Who knows how different this game would be? Who knows how different the team would have ended the season if Garrett Nussmeier completed that ball to Jack Bech and we would have ended up winning that game. Nuss probably finishes the season as a starter. There's no telling. But, as far as what Brian Kelly wants out of a quarterback, he wants a quarterback that doesn't turn the football over. And the one thing about Max Johnson, okay, and this is a clear distinction that needs to be made here, is Max Johnson doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. But the opposite is actually true. He does throw a lot of interceptable passes, as in balls that hit defensive backs in the hands, balls that get popped up in the air and they don't get picked. So his actual interceptable pass rate is probably a little bit higher. Once again, I don't chart that, but it's something that I did notice a lot on film. And Max Johnson does fumble the football quite a bit. We had the fumbles versus Ole Miss. We had the fumble versus Auburn. Lucky enough, we were able to pick it up, and we didn't lose that fumble. But yeah, Max's ball security can be a little crazy sometimes. So as far as Brian Kelly is concerned, just from speaking to people that I know that have covered him for a while, some people that have been around him, they say that turnovers, he's a lot like Ed Orgeron in this aspect. Whereas, younger coaches are a little bit more open to being aggressive down the field. If an interception happens, it happens. But Kelly's the opposite. He is a very turnover adverse coach. So, as far as who his OC is going to be, Mark, I don't know. But I'll tell you this, he's not going to deal with the quarterback that turns the football over. Okay? Johnny 5, good to see you, man. You think with the current defense, front seven on the roster, should we switch and recruit to a 3-4 defense? Very interesting. So, Roby, I'm going to spend a little more time here with this question talking about Harold Perkins, okay? So, I don't mean to sink your ship. As many of you know, Harold Perkins is my number one player in this class in 2022. Definitely I know Travis Hunter is probably the best player, but definitely of the players that LSU could get, Harold Perkins is the best. Now, I like Walker Howard. I like Will Campbell. I like Emory Jones. Harold Perkins is better than those three guys. Plays a different position, but he's better. Okay? So Harold Perkins is just a monster, right? And he would actually fit into what Durante's done at the end of the season a lot better. So he would play the Mike Jones role where, you just let him just do his thing, right? I like the 3-4. I like what LSU's been doing, not only because it's been working, but because it does bring a little more variety. And I do tend to like 3-4 defenses, but once again, 3-4-4-3, it's more important that LSU gets out of the one gap static 4-3 nonsense that we did, which any rational defensive coordinator doesn't do that anymore. Some defensive coordinators still do run 4-man fronts, but they have banded ends, standing ends from time to time, 2-gap. We never 2-gapped our defensive linemen, hardly ever. We just over-penetrated gaps for big rushing gains. So I think, Roby, as far as 3-4-4-3, I do think you do need to recruit more 3-4-ish type athletes who can do different things well. And look, there's a lot of guys on the team that can do that, right? So we'll see. But yeah, I'm a huge Harold Perkins guy. But then again, at the same time, I'm not this recruit will make or break our class, right? I do think he ends up picking Texas A&M, Houston area. A&M's killed it there. I think they're in the lead right now, but once again, it's too tough to really, you know, say. If he goes to Texas, that's obviously the best case scenario compared to him not choosing LSU. So yeah, I'm a huge Harold Perkins guy though. It's hard for me to say, okay, that guy is going to be an All-American difference maker. Um, Once again, I don't know the kid personally. I don't know his work ethic. I don't know his mindset. Uh, I just don't. But if he puts it together, he'll be a first round pick. He's, I mean, he makes you scratch your head like I just did. He's just crazy. He's a freak. Perkins talk. Mason Smith looked better at DE or DT. I'll go with defensive tackle. I do agree with this. He would play in a 3-4. He would play the 4-I and the 5 tech in the 3-4. Okay. But yeah, I will freak out if LSU lands Harold Perkins. Freak out. I think his uncle follows the channel or follows me on Twitter. But yeah, there's always a guy that I just kind of like more than everyone else. And that's my guy this year. That's my guy. Freaking Harold. He's that dude, man. He's that dude. What do you say about playing year one? Working harder than everyone else. I like it, man. I like it. Well, let me go sign Harold Perkins to a PHL Power Hour LSU deal. I just think, man, and he can wear that number 4 uniform. Todd Harris is leaving. He can freaking play. He can freaking play. I don't even know if defense is his best position. I was like, God, is he better as a slot receiver? I saw a tweet earlier today that Harold Perkins reached 21.2 miles per hour on a carry this year, which is like stupid fast for like a linebacker. That's unfreaking real. I can't quit talking about this kid, man. He is truly, truly, truly transcendent. But we'll see. Once again, there's a lot of factors that goes into being a great college player. I was right about some guys. I was wrong about some other guys. All right. Let's go to Mick here. Do you think Brian Kelly will hire and release coordinators? I don't know. Once again, it just depends on the news cycle. It just depends on how things go. I do think, in a way, the Mickey Joseph to Nebraska thing is somewhat of a good thing for BK because it for sure leaves an automatic open slot. So the thing about getting rid of coaches is you have to, bring them in and say, hey, we're gonna fire you, we're gonna keep you. I'm telling you, this stuff takes time, right? And also something else, let's just say Brian Kelly wants to fire everybody and he wants just a brand new coaching staff. Well, at the same time, Brian Kelly is also trying to, let's just say that was his desire. He's also trying to mitigate everything that could potentially happen to the staff. Marcus Banks. Let's see. Here's a good question from LJ. Carter, do you think we keep Moffitt? He needs to go, but people get mad when I say that. I don't know, LJ. I just don't. I don't know enough about strength and conditioning coaches. I just don't. Like, if I had any, once again, there's not really. Here's the thing. you can know very little about quarterback play and still have an idea if a quarterback is good or not because you get to see him on the TV. You can go watch their highlights. You can go look at their stats. You can go hear coaches' quotes about him. You can hear players' quotes about him. And you can essentially do that for any position. You can't really do that with the strength coach. Like, we don't have Jared, thank you for another very nice Venmo. I appreciate it. And a nice super chat. I really appreciate you, my guy. But LJ, there's I don't know. I just don't know. Like, do you judge a strength coach off of injuries? Right? Zipper says, I'm going to get that job. Free crawfish for everyone. I wonder about Moffitt too because there's so many injuries. So do you judge a strength coach based on injuries? I don't know if you can. I don't know. So once again, the injuries were exhausting. So then again, I just don't know. I don't know. So Reign is the king. If there was a king, like we have presidents of different fan clubs on this channel, there's no one here that wants Tommy Moffitt fired more than Reign. Reign, I oftentimes say people should change their avatars to their actual faces. Reign, I wouldn't do that if I were you, because Tommy Moffitt is going to find you. So I just don't know. Just from everything that I've read, I've done a video about Tommy Moffitt. He's brought in new technology. He's brought in new ideas. He's always open to change from the research I've done on him. But I also think, once again, it goes back to scheme. I also think the way that LSU played their games and the way that they went about their business, the way that they were coached does open you up with injuries, okay? So, for instance, if you played defensive back, I didn't, but if you play defensive back, it is exhausting to play man coverage on every snap, which LSU essentially did, okay? You notice the last 2 seasons, we've had a lot of defensive back injuries. It is brutal on your body to defend crossing routes for an entire game. Like, it's just brutal, okay? So I also think from an offensive line standpoint, you notice last year we didn't run counter a lot, and early this season we didn't run counter a lot. So when you don't run counter, it opens you up for more injuries. It is more exhausting to run zone and just out muscle who's ever in front of you. Right? So, once again, I like Tommy Moffitt. Should he stay? I don't know. I'll say this. They've already tried to replace him. They tried to get Matt Balis, the strength coach from Notre Dame, and he didn't want to come. Okay. And this is another important thing right here from Pegasus. So, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Let me see this right here. I'll just show you guys this right here. Right here. If you guys can, please go subscribe to this channel. This is my Football Card Podcast on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, click that link and subscribe. All right. See, I don't see Rod in here. Rod. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I missed any question. Jack Besh has gone on every YouTube channel except mine. I need to get Jack Besh on here. I hear Besh was open way too much this year. He needs more involvement next year for sure. Jack Besh just gets mother effing open, baby. He just does. As you guys know, I'm a Jack Besh stan. He's one of those guys Harold Perkins stand for this offseason. It's pretty bad. Freaking love me some Jack Besh. I thought he would be very good in year one. I didn't think he'd be like... I mean, there was a big piece of me that was like, this guy's about to ball the freak out. Like, really, 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 really ball out. So yeah, let me see. I want to make sure we get to as many comments as we possibly can. Let's see here. Let's go to Chillmongers here. Butte made Max look like a good quarterback since Florida. With Butte out, we saw the real Max. And I even argued before that, Chillmonger. I mean, there were some times where Max missed Kayshawn, right? And I was like, Max, I can understand you missing some of the other receivers. But if Kayshawn is open, that is the number one option almost every time. Like, Kayshawn could be open 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage and someone be wide open 50 yards down the field. And I would still say throw that ball to Kayshawn. I mean, he is ridiculous. Johnny 5. There's Johnny 5. Mike Bloch. I don't know a whole lot about Mike Bloch. Yeah, I still think Dylan Gabriel is going to Ole Miss. T. Kane, we talked about that earlier. And that was from two nights ago. So welcome to the channel, T. Kane. Looks like you're traveling. Is that a suitcase on the beach right there? Welcome to the channel, man. Big Al, treasurer, PHL. Vic, I have a hard time believing these injuries were as bad as we were told. Rub some dirt on it and walk it off. Tell me you never heard of them. That is the only option. Yeah, just throw to Kayshawn. Our wide receiver room is going to be nasty next year with Kayshawn and Jack Besh. So you're on the beach with your suitcase. That normally means your hotel reservation was not open. You got there at 11, knowing that your room didn't open up until 1. And you said, F it. I'm going to go to the beach anyway and just take my suitcase with me. Oh, man. Simeon, good to hear you. Alabama offloaded their coach a couple years ago regarding injuries. Yeah. Maybe. Let me see. Okay, Spencer Rattler does not have any fans on here. 70% of you say no. No to Spencer Rattler. Really? Like, no at all? Like, even a hold the clipboard? It worked. Good question, Christopher. I don't know once again, assistant and position coaches is just so random. It really is. You never really know, like, which coach works with which offensive coordinator. And that's something else you do wonder about, Brian Kelly putting together the staff. I was hoping tonight, part of the reason why I did this live stream tonight is because I don't know when any coach is going to be hired, right? So you kind of have to go live because a lot of the coaching moves have happened at night. Let's see. Let's welcome in Rick. Rick, welcome to the channel. Hey, man, do you think Brian Kelly is going to run a different offense? Rick, that's a tough question. Once again, Mental Health Awareness Month. You are not alone. That's a really good avatar. Understand you always got a friend in me right here on PHL. Let's do it. All right. Let's see. It all comes down to whoever's offensive coordinator is going to be. Okay, let's see. How about Notre Dame and their quick responses for keeping their coaches? Doesn't shock me. And I think what's going to happen, T. Kane, this is a really, really big story because I think a lot of programs that have a coach leaves on them in the last second, I think a lot of programs are going to be forced to hire in-house just because of that early signing period. I don't. Part of it was this as well, Kyle, so I can hang out. That's true. Get Mike Clayton to replace Mickey Joseph. That would just be cool to see. I don't know anything about Michael Clayton as a coach. But yeah, I just think a lot of coaches are going to be forced, or a lot of administrations are just going to be forced to hire coaches in-house simply because I can't get over this. The early signing period is just a disaster. It is a disaster. There are some positives, but man, because so many recruits sign during the early period, even if you don't want to sign during the early period, you're kind of forced to sign in the early period because if you don't, your slot could get processed. So we'll see. Jack Miller, I don't know anything about Jack Miller really. So yeah. I'm not really shocked by this, Joseph. Once again, we are okay. So here's what I would say to you. So a lot of people in Oklahoma, including athletic director Joe Castiglione, okay? So if you did a poll of every athletic director in the country and you asked every AD to pick who is the number one AD, Joe Castiglione would get a lot of votes. He would be in the top 5 for sure, right? So even he was blindsided a little bit by Lincoln Riley doing this. But once again, Oklahoma's going to take their time with this. I don't think they're going to let the early period affect what they're going to do. But at some point, it's going to, right? So let's see. Are we still in it for Denver Harris? No. Walker has a good chance of winning the job if he enrolls early. Mark, I could see it. But yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to get to as many of these comments as I can. Let's see. I couldn't imagine being an OU fan right now. Well, yeah, I mean, you just were one, right? Not an OU fan, but we were in the same spot trying to figure out who the next head coach is going to be. So, yeah. Odell and Jarvis's wide receiver coach was Adam Henry, and I think he's in the NFL. So let's see. All right. Let's see what we got here. The more competition, the better. That's how I am too. Petty Tendergrass. When should the OC and DC hires be expected? I don't know. Hopefully by Monday. I'll look at something really quickly. Streams have been so lit. So why? Tell me this: why would Coach Johnson leave a Saints job, where he's probably going to get to coach there forever under Sean Payton, to come to LSU at the college level? Here's to help pay Brian Kelly $95 million. Thanks, Addison. Oh, Dwayne Thomas. Yeah, I could see that too, Joe Monger. I like Dwayne Thomas a lot. You know, you see him on the sidelines, and just as a player, I remember Dwayne Thomas, number 13. He's just a lot of energy. I know a lot of people in that building loved him, some Dwayne Thomas. Let's see here. Orgeron joining the staff. Welcome to the channel, A100. I wish you the best with Kelly. He improved Notre Dame, but I don't think he has what it takes to win it all. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, but I actually disagree with this. Okay. Once again, it wasn't classless at all. It was a business. I listened to an interview with, and I say an interview, these Notre Dame players have their own podcasts, right? Really good. And they're pretty open-minded about pretty much everything. And I've listened to them a few times even prior to this. They had no ill will towards Brian Kelly. Now, I know a lot of you would say, well, of course, they're not going to say that publicly. Well, one of the players is Kyle Hamilton, who's going to the NFL next year. They understood it's a business. They understood why he left. There's no classy way to leave a program with the early signing period being the way that it is. And I understand he took less than 3 minutes to meet with this team. What is he going to say? What is he going to say? He's got to pack his bags and go. He's got a flight to catch. And the players have work to do because they're trying to get into the playoff, right? There's no classy way to leave a team now. There never really is a right way to leave anything, but there's no right way to leave a team when you are forced to leave to get the next recruiting class for your new job. Okay? Essentially, let me put it this way. the early signing period is essentially having an NBA or an NFL draft before the season actually ends. It's lunacy, right? Because let's say you're an NFL coach and there's another opening and you want that opening, and let's just say the NFL draft is before the season actually ends. Well, you're definitely going to pack your bags and go to your new job, even if your current team is in a playoff run. And once again, that's highly unlikely because coaches don't leave that way in the NFL, but it's essentially the same thing. So, look, Dwayne Thomas is here. Huh? What's up? I think that's Dwayne Thomas with the debut. I'm kidding. I doubt that's Dwayne Thomas. So yeah, it's not anything personal, right? I don't know if there's any truth, but it is going to be investigated. Good show tonight. And that's okay. You're going to feel like a jilted lover, right? And trust me, I'm not necessarily on fire if I was a coach about leaving my team during a potential playoff run. I'm not on fire about that, and I don't like it. But one way you can fix it is moving back the early period. It's a reason why coaches have to leave when they leave, right? I've heard this about a lot of Notre Dame fans, and I'm also here to say this. Let's not act like Brian Kelly was a peach to be around in his early Notre Dame years, right? He's not an affable guy, right? That's not his MO. That doesn't mean he's a jerk. It's just he's not going to be well liked by everybody. That's just who he is. There's nothing wrong about that. Some people are abrasive, right? That's just who they are personally, right? So we'll see. Well, all right. We're coming up on 2 hours. I know we sometimes go to 3 hours. But we're going to cut this one a little bit earlier than normal. Let's see. The Master Blaster is back. Welcome back. Huh? Huh? You know, one thing I've grown interest into is 8-man football. Scott, welcome. Why do people want the early signing day removed? Well, everything that's happened points to this thing needing to be removed, right? And Scott, thank you for the follow on Twitter. So open on Twitter. I sometimes get viewers or comments on there. Let's see here. We got Darth Vader in here. Is a charlatan. Could be. God, Utah is boat racing Oregon again. Again. All right, guys. Well, let's see. I'll keep going until the 2 hour mark, or if you super chat, I'll keep hanging out all night, as in not go to bed. Are you driving, Master Blaster? All good. Drive safe. That's crazy. You know, we didn't talk. I thought tonight we were going to talk a little bit more about Alabama and Georgia tomorrow. So, Georgia's obviously the better team, but who has more pressure on them tomorrow, right? It's kind of ironic that the team that is under more pressure is the team that can lose and still get into the playoffs, right? It's kind of strange because this is supposed to be Georgia's year. They're supposed to be the fourth straight national champion that went undefeated. This is their magical, undefeated, Kirby Smart, all-time great team, all-time great defense, college football's best defense of all time. But all the pressure should be on Alabama, right? Because if they lose, they're out of the playoff. But I feel all the pressure is on Georgia, right? So I'm getting 6 points with an Alabama team that has the better coach, the better quarterback. So, yeah, you know, if I were a betting man, I would take Alabama plus 6.5. Georgia's better. They've got the better defense. But Stetson Bennett, when is he going to lay an egg? Okay. Now, I don't like Alabama's offensive line. In particular, that right side of the offensive line has been really garbage for them. But Saban, I think, will find a way around that. I think. So does defense win titles? That's a good question, Scott. You know, offense actually wins titles. If you look at the last few national champions, there's more data to suggest that offenses or elite offenses have, you know, a better correlation with championships. But I'll also say this. Georgia's offense is actually really good. Stetson Bennett has been really good this year. Let me see. Let's do a quick poll question here at the end. Sib G is at work. We have a lot of people that work on Friday nights. Interesting to see how you feel about Kelly in 2 years. True. I mean, I think you could say that about any coach. Check in on them in 2 years. I do. Once again, obviously, we will see what happens. But once again, obviously, the immediate big question is what is the staff going to look like? Something else about the early period, right? Simps at work too? Cooking up some crawdaddies? Huh? In the words of Spencer Rattler, allegedly crawdaddies? Busy day at UMC? Where do you work? I'm interested. We are late. We're a little bit later in the live stream. What do you guys do for employment? I'm interested. All right. One thing I did, not shocking. I know Notre Dame's got a huge fan base, but goodness, they have so many good people covering that team. The coverage of that team is ridiculous. Like from the 247, the Rivals, Athletic, fan bases, it's ridiculous. I mean, they have a lot of people that cover that team, that university. They'll have Coach Marcus Freeman. What do you guys do for work? I'm curious. Make sure I don't. Biggest hospital in Mid-City NOLA? The 504? Can you be the new New Orleans liaison for Mickey Joseph? Jared says, I'm out. I'm not talking about my job. Retired and headed to bed. Go ahead, Mary Rose. We need to see you around more often. It's good to see you again. Ophthalmic technician. That's cool. Georgia is going to sit on those short routes that Bama will throw at them to subdue the pass rush. I'm taking Georgia. Director of North Carolina Mental Health Clinics on Mental Health Awareness Month. Raider Nation. What's up, Brian? I don't think this is a Raider chat. My guy Mitchell Renzo does a really good podcast or YouTube channel on the Raiders. Go check him out. Kari, it's been a while, man. Good to see you. Where have you been, man? Well, you know what I do. Heavy equipment tech. Don't get off till 2:30 Eastern time. Sip. Work in a warehouse. Good stuff, man. Sperry Railroad Services. I own a crawfish business, lawn service. It's pretty late to be mowing lawns. I like it though. Musician, fighter, and have a full-time job with the railroad. You know what's funny? One of my really good friends, Colby, got to hang out with him at the Arkansas game. And Colby worked on the railroads for a while. Tough job, man. Still coaching. I like it, man. Dang, Rob. I love this, man. Rob, I got to shout you out, man. Rob, I believe, was our top super chatter tonight. Good stuff, Rob. You've really been helping me out lately. I really appreciate you, man. Biosecurity Director. Cool stuff, man. Paint and Body Shop. If I need a fresh paint job, holla at your boy. Go all the way to Opelousas. You know what's interesting about Notre Dame being in the playoff? I don't think Notre Dame has played a ranked team or a winning team since they lost to Cincinnati. Okay. Notre Dame had the softest in to any schedule of any of the contenders, right? They played Georgia Tech and someone else who's bad. And then the week before that, they played a Virginia team who didn't have their quarterback, right? So Virginia had a really good offense. Their quarterback punctured his ribs a week before, missed the Notre Dame game, and was back for the next game. So Notre Dame, I would hate to see them in the playoff. I don't think they're deserving of getting into that top four. And it's another reason why I'm so anti-playoff expansion, because there are so many teams that shouldn't get in. Now, I think Notre Dame should have got in last year. I was fine with that. I think the team that should have been left out was Ohio State, and Cincinnati get that final spot. But we'll see. You work in Lafayette? Cool stuff. I work for a moving company. Okay, that's pretty crazy. Movers in a warehouse, man, G, man, keep that back. I mean, that's a brutal job for your back, man. Make sure you keep that back good and rested, man. So yeah. All right, guys. I really appreciate you guys. This was a fun 2-hour live stream. Once again, best of luck to Mickey Joseph. Thanks for everything you gave LSU. Good luck in your future endeavors at Nebraska, who LSU will never have to play. So, yeah. Notre Dame also dominated those opponents, and I give them credit for that. But you do lose benefit of the doubt for dominating bad teams when you yourself haven't won games against decent teams or good teams, right? Let's pull up. It's okay, Roger. All right, Notre Dame's schedule 2021. All right, pull it up right here. Okay. So here is Notre Dame's schedule right here. Pull this up right here. Okay. Roger, we'll keep going for a little bit. If you drop a dime, I am really tired. What's up, Greg? Good to see you too. Yeah, we'll keep it going for a little bit. Roger, if you super chat, I was going to sign off like 15 minutes ago. I wanted to welcome some new viewers. Okay. So they lost to Cincinnati, bad. Wisconsin's not really that good. They did dominate Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's a good team. To put up 41 points on a Jim Leonard defense is good. Wisconsin's offense was so pitiful that game. And then outside of that, Virginia Tech on the road, that's a good win. USC's bad. Beating North Carolina, they're a 6-6 team. That's a decent win. I'll give you a hat tip for that. But I'm not on fire when any team has as soft of a schedule as Notre Dame did in November. Okay. Thank you, Roger. I really appreciate that. Roger, that was a funny message. You're my guy, man. I appreciate you. Greg, good to see you, man. Your bands are in transit. I got to order more bands. Greg, welcome to the Booker Band Club. So, yeah, I look at this Notre Dame resume. November didn't do you any favors. Navy's bad. Virginia didn't have their quarterback. Georgia Tech's a bad football team, and Stanford is a bad football team as well. So, yeah, I just don't think Notre Dame should be in the playoff, but they have a good chance of getting in. They do. So let's see here. What do you think about landing Brule? Oh, this is an interesting question right here. What do you think about landing Aaron Brule in the portal? Could add some needed depth at linebacker for next season. Well, I'll tell you this. Aaron Brule last year, I don't remember who it was for, but he did show up at a signing. Or no, he showed up at Jamar Chase's draft party, right? So Aaron Brule went to the same high school as Jamar Chase. He was a 3-star Louisiana prospect who went to Mississippi State and played really well. Now, reading Mississippi State writers and just fans, they said Brule wasn't as good as he was in 2020, where Aaron Brule just flat out dominated us. And ironically, he had a decent game against us this year. For those that don't know, Aaron Brule is a 3-star linebacker. Mississippi State, he entered the transfer portal. And it's Aaron Brule is a good football player. He's a good blitzer. Played, played behind an odd front, played the edge, played off ball as well. So yeah, I like Aaron Brule as well. Now, Max, there are some issues with Aaron Brule, right? The Mississippi State Tulsa brawl started with Aaron Brule punching someone. So that brawl started when Aaron Brule really stirred up the pot. So when there's someone like that on the team, you always got to be a little worried about stuff like that because, as many of you know, character does matter, okay? That doesn't mean him punching that one time makes him a bad person. That's not what I'm saying at all, but you do need to do your due diligence. But yeah, Damon Clark's going to be gone. Micah Baskerville's going to be gone. So, and Mike Jones could get drafted next year. Depends on what they want to do. What happens now? Well, the linebacker room next year is going to be Greg Penn, and I don't know who else. I mean, it's kind of shocking how little the backup linebackers played. But it's also not shocking because LSU has never really had heavy linebacker rotation anyway. So does this mean you need to hit the portal for linebacker? Maybe so. Maybe so. So, Grant. You disagree about the brawl? It wasn't that crazy? Max, someone kicked somebody in the face with their cleat. And their coach was taking photos with fans. Curtis Johnson, no, he's once again, unless he wants to just leave Sean Payton in the NFL, I don't know. If that's the coach you're referencing. Oh, yeah, Grant. Welcome anyway. Good news, bad news. We're gonna have a good new offensive line. So Roger wants to talk about the new offensive line next year. So yeah. And the brawl we're talking about was the Armed Forces Bowl, Mississippi State versus Tulsa last year, which to me, Max, I don't know if I think we just disagree on what considers to be a pretty crazy brawl. It's still crazy to me to this day that Mississippi State did not suspend a single player from that game. Whole new offensive line. Good news, bad news. Okay, so let's start with the bad news. Obviously, is you lose Ed Ingram and Austin Deculus. I understand Austin Deculus got a nickname, Turnstile Deculus. Austin Deculus was fine. He was fine this year. He wasn't Orlando Pace, but he was pretty good. All right. It was left tackle that was a bigger issue this year. Ed Ingram was phenomenal. Okay, the Kentucky game was bad. I don't know what it is. Ed Ingram's just not as good at home or on the road as good as he is at home. Ed Ingram was really good. There's no other way around it. He was really good. Okay, you got to get a new center. The more concerning thing about center, Roger, I don't know why. This is going to be one of the most baffling things in LSU history. What on earth? Why did LSU never try a new center? Right? They stuck with Liam Shanahan. Nothing against Liam. There were some times where he struggled a lot. There were some times he played just fine. So yeah, I mean, I like Liam Shanahan. He's one of the toughest son of a guns you'll ever meet. But who is going to be the new center? We don't know. Right guard's going to be interesting. Cardale is making a strong push for this. Obviously, a lot comes down to what Chasen Hines wants to do. I know Chasen Hines was thought of as the center at some point, but what does Chasen Hines decide to do? Does he come back? Can he be a fill-in at left guard? And then, of course, you have to talk about some of the backups. Marcus Dumerville played a lot, but mostly in some sub packages. What about Cam Wire? What about his health? Is that someone that we can rely on? Also, Garrett Dellinger, really rough game against Texas A&M, but outside of that, he was pretty good. Where does he play? Is he someone that could be a center? Is he someone that could be a guard, right? Because at this point, there's no clear-cut Ben Wilkerson, Elliot Porter, Brett Helms, PJ Lonergan type of talent right now. All right, TK, we'll see you. Go Irish. What kind of nonsense is that? I hope you never got your hotel room open. Oh, man. But yeah, thanks for swinging by. We appreciate fans from all different backgrounds. I played at King in the early 80s. I took the recruiting job for the city. It's time for Cardale to step up. How about that performance against Texas A&M? He had some good moments. He also had some bad moments. In the first quarter, it was a little rocky, but he got a little better. It was fine, right? This is a term that I hear a lot from speaking to people that played and coach offensive line. One thing that they always ask is not if you're good, but are you playable? Not even if you're bad. Can we put you out there and you not just screw everything up? And Cardale was playable versus Texas A&M. There's a few snaps where he was really good. There's also a few snaps where I was like, well, okay. So yeah. Let's see. DBU. In the portal. Can you find some offensive linemen in the portal? Oh, that screen pass. Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, he's so athletic. He really is. He's got to put it all together. There you go. All right, guys, we'll hang out for a few more minutes. Once again, if you super chat, we'll stay here all night. Once again, I don't like to cut short. We've gone 2 hours plus. I think let me look. I think most of our live streams have gone over 3 lately. Most of them have gone about 3. About 3 plus. Our last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 live streams have gone 3 hours plus. I don't mind hanging out for a little bit longer. Best available 3 stars. Depends if they're in the Independence Bowl. Scott was good, man. That's good. You've missed a fun one. Let's see. Or is the fun getting ready to start? But yeah, Greg, it's time for Cardale to be that guy, right? At least he's playing. At this point, At this point, you can't say Cardell was a colossal bust, right? He's given you something, okay? A colossal bust is Xavier Carter or whoever. No, Dev. Dev with the forces, man. I love it. You the GOAT. Dev, I've always wanted to talk to you about this photo, man. Who are you texting? And let me look closely. That looks like a long blue bubble text. Those long texts can mean a lot of different things. Ha, 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 ha. Dev, no, you the GOAT, my guy. Ha, 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 ha. And those white forces are fresh, man. Wait, Xavier Carter is your older brother? Can you run? There's no way he is your older brother, KMC. Huh? I just thought about the most random colossal bust, right? Xavier Carter should have been unreal. But at the same time, we throw the phrase around world-class speed too often. Xavier Carter had world-class speed. I don't know why I even said him. And then, was he really a colossal bust, or did he realize track and field was his thing? I don't know. But Dev, I appreciate you, man. Always supporting. There's a piece of me that thinks he doesn't, but we'll see. $100 million can convince you that you're ready for anything, right? I could get offered $100 million and someone hand me a scalpel and say, perform open heart surgery on me, and I'm ready. I'm Dr. House. Thoughts on Braden Johnson for Ponchatoula? I called the Ponchatoula North Shore game earlier this year and think he is definitely an FBS player. So is this the running back that Branson Cat? I wish Branson Cat was in here. He is a freshman at LSU, and he also went to Ponchatoula, so he knows Jacoby and all these guys. And I just I couldn't tell you. Once again, I haven't even gotten into the high school film portion of the offseason where we were doing a lot of high school film breakdowns. So, yeah, I mean, I watched some of his tape because Branson sent me some of it. He is pretty ridiculous. So I'll say this, Grant. There's 2 3-star running backs to keep an eye on. Braden Johnson, but the name you should keep an eye out is a Jay Allen out of Neville, okay? I think he has a good shot of getting offered, especially if Citizen decides to go elsewhere. So we'll see. Quinn Ewers is projected to go to a Texas school. Please go to A&M. Please. Man. God. UTSA is putting it on him. Okay, a lot of you wondered why I'm not a big Cristobal guy. I think he recruits well. I think he's really talented. I just don't know how good he is between the headset. Yes, the Ohio State win is miraculous, really, when you look at it. To beat them in Columbus without your 2 best players is pretty good, right? But this is the second time you're getting beat down by the same team in 3 weeks. Sometimes you have matchups that you just don't match up well against. You also lost to Stanford. There was a bogus call at the end of that one, but you did lose to Stanford, who was 3-9. Yeah, I'm just not on fire as much about Cristobal. I wasn't during the search. He's obviously really talented. He knows how to build a program. He recruits at a high level. And I could see them, being really good. And they have, the resources and the potential to really become a perennial 10-win team every year. But just not, he's just never really been someone that I was on fire about, especially considering, what we know of Justin Herbert now and what he did in college. It just didn't match up. This true. Ha, 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 ha. No, 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 no. Okay. We do have a freshman linebacker on the roster named Xavier Carter. I was talking about Xavier Carter from the world class track star. I'm not talking about the kid out of Marietta who's a freshman. You'll never hear me say a true freshman after 1 year is a colossal bust. It's just not true. Okay. I was talking about Xavier Carter from LSU. I think Xavier Carter on LSU is Xavier Carter with the Z. I was talking about Xavier Carter, colossal bust, not him. So I don't want anyone. It's going to get taken out of context. I'm fine with it, or mischaracterized. But yeah, that's all you got to do, Scott. Win it all. All right, so we're this deep into it. Let's see. Some of y'all want to talk NIL deals. Okay. I had a tweet that went out earlier. I'll share it here. Okay. All right. I want to ask you a question. Okay. I think we're going to see a brand new viewpoint on number one. The NIL really did nothing to this year in college football. But tell me this. Do you think these players who were given a pretty large sum of money before the season, do you think these players, the companies that advertised them, do you think that they got good ROI on their investments? Spencer Rattler got beat out. Quinn Ewers played, I think, 2 snaps. Miles Brennan never saw the field. De'Ara King got hurt after 3 weeks. And Derek Stingley, of course, got hurt also after 3 weeks. So, once again, I just think NIL companies are going to be a little bit wiser with their money, especially considering how much volatility there was, right? So, yeah, I'm not saying I'm mad at these players getting their money. They should have maximized as much money as they possibly could. It's just the point is there's going to be more companies that are going to be smarter about handing out NIL deals, right? So, yeah. Quinn Ewers. Here's my thing about Quinn Ewers, okay? Derek Stingley stunned the shit. Yeah, I mean, look, I wish we could have seen Sting more this year. But he was ready to be drafted after his first year. And once again, you are what you are willing to get paid. I'm just saying NIL deals are going to be handed out a lot more wisely next year. And once again, the names I showed you, I'm not mad at them for getting their money. You should get as much advertising money as you possibly can, right? It's it's just going to be different from this point forward. I really do. No, you can get some really good ROI from college athletes. Big time ROI. I guarantee you, Bryce Young's sponsors are freaking loving it. But yeah, I don't think the NIL's really changed anything yet, but I think it can. I do. But once again, I'm happy a college kid can make money off their name, image, and likeness. It's crazy to think that they couldn't. I need a new brew. I do. All right, Roger. Let me see. Do you have anything else? Let's. So you are Xavier Carter's brother at KMC. That's cool, man. So what's funny, Grant, is I actually did do an NIL deal with an LSU player. I didn't want it to be public. I just wanted that player to have the money, right? Because I thought he deserved it. He was someone that I liked a lot on this year's team. There was one LSU player, though, that I tried to do not a super large NIL deal. It was like the first week, right? But here's what I'll tell you what happened, Grant, is I sent the player a sponsored tweet, right? And the sponsored tweet was a photo of me, Haley, and the dog, right? We had just gotten Z. And I just said, hey, tweet out this photo saying, we're happy to have Z on Power Hour LSU, whatever. And I don't know if there was a holdup. I even reached out to the player via DM because I wanted him to get the money, right? And part of it was just because I was just trying to. He's one of my favorite players on the team. I just wanted him to have the money to have it, right? But in order for him to take the money, there's got to be some transaction. So I was like, okay, I went through the app. There was like this app, and nothing happened. So yeah, but I think NIL deals can work really good for companies. I just don't think there are some of these players that got big deals, and they got benched. I'm telling you this. So Spencer Rattler went to the National this year. So the National is like the biggest sports card collecting thing. So like, once again, shout out. I got this Tyrann Mathieu rookie card today. This was a 95-cent one. I thought it was a pretty good deal because this rookie card is numbered. There's only 499 rookie cards. And this was actually a Father's Day rookie card. Really cool stuff right here, the Badger. Wait, who had a crush on Topanga? Who didn't have a crush on Topanga? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mason Smith and Jack Bech are doing a signing, I think. Did that happen today or tomorrow? I don't know. I think it's at Cards and Culture. Isaac, I am currently out of booger bands. I got to order some, and I think the person who does them for me went up on their prices. So Isaac, when I get more booger bands, obviously I'll let it be known, and we'll get on it. All right, guys. I want to say thank you for making this live stream a fun one. And we'll see you tomorrow night. It's going to be a little bit later for our normal Saturday night live stream. I believe it'll be around 9. So be on the lookout for that. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Ooh. We're doing some chocolate chip cookies tonight. Let's go.